All right. Well, good evening and welcome, District 6. So this is the fourth of 8 what we call charter community meetings, one citywide and one in each district. And I'm going to do, if you haven't been to one of these before, a presentation that's tailored to District 6. Then the Deputy Mayor, Conrad Mallett, is going to come up and talk about a program he's running. And then we'll take your questions till about 8:30. So let me start where I start every presentation, and that is what's happening with COVID. And as you can see, we continue to do extremely well compared to where we were in April and May. The masks, the social distancing that Detroit is committed to, continues to really be a national leader, but the problem is getting worse. Not for anything we've done here in the city, but we need to be aware of the risk. And so this is the way the national map of COVID looked in the middle of June. This is a heat map. So red is the hottest, orange is the next hottest, blue is actually going down. And so you can see Michigan was in extremely good shape in the middle of June. Then by the end of June, you can see it spreading up from Florida, from Georgia, from Louisiana, from Texas. And by the middle of July, the failure to control COVID down in the South has been spreading north and into the Midwest. And now we are seeing more and more. In fact, Ohio, which has really done an extraordinary job fighting COVID from the beginning, recently passed Michigan in total number of cases. It wasn't because Ohio did anything wrong, but it's because the southern contagion is spread up through Kentucky and up into Ohio, and we're starting to see it in Michigan. Most of it we're seeing in Michigan is in the suburbs and outstate. But I want to show you the trends we're looking at and why we have to be careful. So last April, at the peak of this, we had 800 people in the hospital, more than 250 on vents who were in danger of dying, and we were getting about 125 new cases a day. By July, you can see we were down only 12 patients on vents. What the people of this city did by committing to masks was extraordinary. We dropped it at a rate no other city in the country did. But here's where we are 6 weeks later. Same number of patients in hospitals, same number of patients on vents, that all looks good, but the number of cases we're getting has gone up from 21 to about 38. It's basically doubled in the last 6 weeks. Now, in April, we were about a third of all of the cases in the state of Michigan. Now we're only 5% because the rest of the state is growing so much faster. But if 6 weeks from now it's doubled again, we're going to be back in a situation where the governor is going to have to be talking about shutting things down. And I was pleased that she opened the casinos a week ago. It was clearly justified by the science because of what we have done. But we need our residents to continue to commit to the masks, commit to the distancing, and I think we are months from a vaccine, and we have a chance to continue to gradually open this city's economy and continue to get people back to work. And of course, we had a good announcement today with Amazon agreeing to come to the fairgrounds, bringing 1,200 jobs and getting no tax breaks at all. We're going to continue to get these kinds of opportunities come back to the city. I want to make sure people can go to work, so let's continue that commitment. We've got 60,000 tests. The fairgrounds will continue to operate for at least 2 more months as a testing site. You can get in tomorrow. Call the number, get an appointment. It's really been as efficient a testing site as there is anywhere in the country, and we're going to continue to do that. I want to talk about things in City Council District 6, Southwest Detroit, just that you've seen in the last year. And so on Verner, not too far from where 96 comes in, you've seen us go through and upgrade the sidewalks and the lighting, trying to create an enhanced commercial district. On Bagley, in Mexican Town, with the partnership with the restaurant owners there. We've completely redesigned that area. I had expected this summer it was going to be jammed with people sitting out on the sidewalks and walking the streets. We haven't been able to do that because of COVID, but we'll be there next year. But a number of the restaurants there have opened outdoor seating. But this is what we're going to continue to do. We're going to invest in neighborhood commercial districts, and I'm confident that they will pay off. Riverside Park looked like this not very long ago. Now it's one of the most heavily used parks in the city of Detroit. What looked like this 2 years ago is now a basketball court. And this fall we're starting on Clark Park with some significant improvements. So this is the current entrance of Clark Park. We're going to upgrade it considerably starting this fall to look like that. And the main part of the park that looks like this, it's a nice park, but we are going to raise it to a completely different level. These are the kinds of investments we are making in neighborhoods across the city and paying particular attention to the great neighborhoods we have in southwest Detroit. This is around the corner from Western High School. The Murray is an abandoned apartment building that the students who walked to Western when we had school went past every day. The work has started, and by next year we'll have 12 units rehabbed, completely rebuilt, with a quarter of the units set aside for people of low income to make sure that this continues to reflect the kind of neighborhood that we want to build. If you live in 48209, we are fortunate that the largest federal grant for lead removal in America was committed to this neighborhood. And I probably helped that the Secretary of HUD, Dr. Ben Carson, grew up not that far from here, but this area is close to his heart, and I lobbied him very heavily on this. So we've got $9 million to take out lead for families with small children in this zip code. We want to prove that we can do it, and then we can go on to other parts of the city. So how does it work? At no cost to the homeowner, we will come in and take care of 450 housing units. If you're in 48209, your house was built before 1978, which almost certainly means it had lead paint. You have a child who's under the age of 6, or a pregnant female staying in the house. These are the individuals most at risk for developmental problems from elevated blood lead levels. We want to go into the houses where our children are at risk to make sure there is no problem in their learning abilities, and your income is an income level, but for a family of 4 is below $62,800. If you fall into these categories, we want you to call us. I know we're out knocking on doors, but we're going to start work in October. And so you can go to that email and get the lead out at detroitmi.gov or call the phone number. You can find these on the city website, but we are going to be out in October, and we're going to start to get the lead out of 48209, and then we want to prove that the elevated blood lead levels that are found in blood tests at Children's Hospital, when we see those start to go down, I think we can make a case to go back to the feds and start to move on to the rest of the city. We got a lot of families with young children in that zip code, and we want to make those houses safe. As you well know, the Gordie Howe Bridge is underway, and we know the impact that it's had on Delray and the neighborhood just north of 75. So we started a program which the Canadian government committed a great deal of money because they needed to buy some vacant lots from us. And we basically said, if you're outside the boundaries of what the bridge took, but you're still going to be impacted from it, we will offer you a deal. We will buy out your house and move you to a different house in the city of Detroit that we'll renovate for you. So we can do two things at once. We can take an abandoned house in a neighborhood and fix it up, and we can move you to a place that likely has lower air pollution and other environmental issues. So far, 47 people have matched. The 40th family just moved in, and we're continuing to move along. And so this is an example of a house in another neighborhood that was abandoned, and we fixed it up and moved a family in. When I could do this before COVID, being with the families as they moved into the house were some of the most special events that I have done. But these are examples of houses that we have fixed up. These are the way we fixed up the insides. We are moving people into first-class homes, and the families are thrilled. So here's an example of a house that had been abandoned that we fixed up and moved a family into. And another house that looks like this. This is what we need to be doing across the city. But we're going into otherwise good neighborhoods that have these abandoned houses, and we're fixing them up. So now the block that we go on to is improved, and the family who wanted to get out of the shadow of the bridge can move into a neighborhood where they have neighbors who are welcoming them. If you're north of 75, we've started a program, I call it soundproofing, but basically it's this. What is going to happen when that bridge opens is that the truck overpass is actually going to go over the backyards of some folks who live just north of 75. But that neighborhood otherwise is pretty sound. It didn't make any sense to move people out of the neighborhood. So what we did as part of this agreement with the Southwest Community Group was we said, we'll go in, we'll put in air conditioning, retrofit the windows, put in better insulation so that it's quieter, you're not breathing bad air. I got a chance to go visit Mr. Guzman, who was thrilled with the central air process. So we have now, as we've rolled through this neighborhood, we've got 39 houses done, 80 will be done this year, and we'll have 175 before we're finished. But in this case, we're stabilizing the neighborhood north of 75 with this kind of environmental program, and at least my experience of being on those streets is those neighborhoods are very pleased with the quality of work. These are the things we're trying to do to try to offset the fact that Southwest Detroit has been more negatively impacted by environmental hazards than other parts of the city of Detroit. And so for any of the information on the house swaps or on the soundproofing program, bridgingneighborhoods.org, I'm sure we've already reached out to your neighborhood, but the information is there. I was really pleased that City Council has placed an issue on the ballot this November for a blight bond proposal, because if we are at the point where we think the quality of our neighborhoods are not good enough, we're going to have to act. And we're going to get a chance on November 3rd to decide that we can say to our children, this is as good as it gets, or we can demand a different level. And the city's been talking about this since 1965, when Mayor Kavanaugh and the City Council promised to eliminate the vacant house menace. 1965, and we're sitting here in 2020, and it still hasn't been solved, and I'd like to solve this once and for all. And so when President Obama was there, I had a partner in the White House. They got us money. We demolished 21,000 abandoned houses in 6 years. These are some neighborhoods in Southwest Detroit, but you can see what the taking out the burned out houses did for the neighborhoods. We dramatically raised property values in a lot of neighborhoods, and we sold thousands of side lots to the neighbors so they could do what this family did, extend their fence, have a larger lot, and we've done that over and over. But the federal money is spent, and we still have work to do. We've got 14,000 houses that still need to come down. Every one of those red dots is a house that cannot be saved, and 1,300 of them in District 6. And everybody knows where they are in your neighborhood. But here's the interesting thing. District 6 has a lot of houses that are in good shape that can be saved. And so what the leaders in City Council said is, it isn't enough to demolish. We want a plan that takes every house that can be saved and make that your first priority. And in fact, there are 8,000 houses that we've identified in this city that can be saved and we can move families in. 827 are in District 6. There's 827 houses that probably have plywood in the window today that if we move on them, we can save and move a family in. How much would it matter to this part of the community if we had another 827 families in the neighborhood instead of 827 vacant houses? We can do this on November 3rd. And so there are 6 principles, and this is your money. You're going to get a chance to vote yes or no on November 3rd to decide this. But first, We're going to save all 8,000 houses in this city that can be rehabbed by securing the exterior of every single house. And I'm going to show you how we do that. That's priority one, save every house we can save. We're going to take down 8,000 more that can't be saved. We are going to run the program with City Council oversight. The land bank will be out of the demolition business within 1 week. It'll be completely done. Land bank was only in the demolition business because the federal rules required it. The land bank was never equipped to run a demolition program. It should have been done by the city with the city procurement department and City Council. It has been moved back now, and because we run it through the city, we can give preference in contracts to Detroit companies, and we can require them to hire 51% of Detroiters to do the work. So we can do a bond issue that uses our money to hire our companies and our residents to improve the quality of life in our neighborhood. And we can do it without increasing your taxes. It won't be any higher than they are today. The bond issue will require you to pay for more years on the back end, but your taxes will not be any higher than they are today. And so we've rehabbed thousands of houses. This one on West Grand Boulevard now looks like this. We've already done this thousands of times. This house on Newport now looks like this. This house on McKinn Street now looks like this. We can do this 8,000 more times. But if we don't act, if we just let these houses sit, they deteriorate. And you've all seen this, that a house, when the family first moved out of it, you said, I could get somebody in there, that could work. But over time, the weather, vandals, fires, cause it to deteriorate. And every year, 1,000 houses that could be saved end up deteriorating so badly they have to be demolished. It's part of why this problem has not been solved since 1965. So, for example, this house on Liddesdale looked like this in May of 2019, and there's how it looked a year later, burned and beyond saving. This house on 24th Street could have been readily renovated in May of 2019. Here's how it looks today. This house on Dayton could have been saved in March of 2018. And here's how it looked a year later. We are losing 1,000 good houses a year by failing to act. And so here's what we want to do. We want to go into those 8,000 houses as the first order of business. And the first thing we're going to do is clean them out. You know what they look like inside with the trash and everything else that's left behind. Then we are going to secure the exterior with Secure View or a similar process, which is basically a bulletproof type plastic. So today we've secured these houses with plywood, and that's better than nothing. That's an improvement. But people can pull off the plywood, and we got case after case where drug dealers have pulled off the plywood and moved in, squatters have moved in, vandals have moved in, and so we're going to go through and put the Secure View on to make sure nobody can get in, or use the steel security systems so that you don't have to worry who's going in and out of the house. And then we're going to go on the roof and fix the holes in the roof so the rain's not coming in and flooding the basements. If you do that, if you know the house is cleaned out, that it has security and the roof is fixed, you can go buy the house. You can put in a furnace and not worry somebody's going to steal it. You can put money into the walls, the dry walls, and not worry the rain's going to damage it. That's how we're going to go at this. And it will allow us to partner with our communities so that community groups, they can buy these houses, fix them up, and City Council, I expect, will have a policy as soon as they get back in September to give the neighbors preference on buying the houses. 70% of the houses bought in the land bank today are bought by Detroiters, basically renters looking to buy. We want to even increase that. Now, how do we do this without raising your taxes? 4 or 5 years ago, this would not have been possible. But since 2014, City Council has been my great partner in this. We have been so strong in our financial management. We've had 7 credit rating upgrades since 2014. Detroit's never experienced that before. And even with the deficit on COVID, we acted so quickly that Standard & Poor's cited Detroit as a model for how to act quickly on a budget deficit. We know there is a market for it. We've already paid down $180 million in bonds since we got out of bankruptcy. So because we've paid down those bonds, this is very much like refinancing your house and spreading it out over more years. We can sell these bonds, spread them out over more years, and your taxes will not go up because the other debt is being paid off. So you could get 8,000 renovations, 8,000 demolitions without your taxes going up. Here's the other thing. Under the federal demolition program, the federal government does not allow you to give preference to local companies. They consider it federal dollars. And so we did not get the kind of Detroit participation I would have liked because the federal rules wouldn't let us. But our city bonds are our own rules. We can take our city money, we can drive it to city companies, and the city ordinances that have been passed by city council give preference to Detroit companies in the bidding. More than 50% of this work is going to go to Detroit companies under this. And so we had something we've never seen before. A group of 20 Detroit contractors got together. They went to city council. And it was the Detroit contractors who said, put proposal N on the ballot. The economy is turned down. This is a chance for our businesses to grow, and we will hire 51% Detroiters. We'll sign up to that commitment so that Detroiters will be fixing up or demolishing these houses. And so this is an opportunity for Detroit companies to weather this recession with some real work. And then Detroit at Work is going to run training and placement programs for Detroiters. Most of the jobs here are jobs that are entry-level jobs that people who don't have skills can get trained and can do. In fact, there's 14 or 15 jobs created for every single demolition. We can train folks to do that. We can train folks to do home repairs and get them into these homes as part of these renovations. And so on November 3rd, you can decide. Are we going to let houses that look like this continue to deteriorate? Or are we going to take houses that look like this and fix them up to get families into our neighborhoods? That's the question that you're going to get a chance to make your own decision on. That's an overview on what we're doing. And in each one of these sessions, we feature one of the cabinet officers talking about what they're doing. And when we get to the questions, most of our department heads are here. So you ask me questions about the water department or the police department or the health department. We've got folks who will come up here and answer every one of those questions. But I'm really pleased that the former Chief Justice of the Michigan Supreme Court, Conrad Mallett, has come in as the deputy mayor. And he has hit the ground running. And the first thing I asked him to do was start a community health corps. And here's what we found. When COVID started to hit, I worked out a program with the governor where on water shutoffs, we had a plan that if you paid $25, no matter what your circumstance were, you could get your water on. And as Gary Brown and the water department went out to the houses who called, we found out nearly every one of those houses was eligible under the water programs they already had. The residents just didn't know. We found the same thing on the foreclosure issue. We had a time where we had 6,000 foreclosures a year of occupied houses. We got down to 300 a year. The way we got down to 300 a year was a whole lot of volunteers went and knocked on doors. And there were all kinds of assistance programs. People didn't know. We had people losing their houses. We had people losing their water. We had people who should have access to food services and a number of others who didn't know. And so what I said to the deputy mayor was, what if we learned our lesson? What if we created a community health corps that actually went out into the houses of people we know are in need? Except instead of the water person going out, and instead of the housing person going out, and instead of the foreclosure person going out in these separate things, what if we went in and talked about all the problems and focused on everything at once with the partnership of Governor Whitmer? And so we were about to start that program of coming into homes of people in need and having the conversation about everything you need. And with that, I'm going to introduce the person who's driving it, the Deputy Mayor, Conrad Mallett.
So, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. I want you to take a look at this problem. 36%, more than 36% of the people who live in the city of Detroit are below the poverty line. Now, these are our fellow residents, our fellow citizens. So if you think about where they are, and you think about the complications according to the life that they lead, complicated further by COVID-19, as the mayor suggested, these persons are isolated and cut off from services that they need, and frankly from services to which they are entitled. So this problem, in fact, then the mayor and Gary Brown actually pointed the way with the water outreach program that Director Brown put together. What we intend to do is to go out to where our fellow citizens are and knock on their door and find them, and rather than force them to find us. We're going to invest in these men and women and their families, with the goal being to create a stable circumstance in these people's lives. One, a circumstance that allows them to begin to think about, in a non-charged, complicated circumstance, what is it that I want for myself? What is it that I want for my family? So here's how we're going to do it. The mayor indicated we're going to go door to door. Now, Director Brown has a list of persons under the water department who need water services. And according to Gary, who I've known since I've been 5 years old, some of the persons on the list who've made the phone call that the mayor suggested that they make, he has no record of them having any water service. So how is it that they are going to request water service for a property that the water department doesn't know requires service? So they're living in a foreclosed house. They're living in a condemned house. They are largely living, perhaps, in a dangerous circumstance. The Housing Revitalization Department, under Donald Rincher and Arthur Jemison, there are land bank homes that have been foreclosed on that people are occupying. Living in those homes without proper heat, without proper water, that's a dangerous circumstance. And a couple of the homes that we've gone into, and I remember when Gary was going in to turn on someone's water, and there was 2 inches of sewer backup in the basement. The family, all they could do was close the door. Think about that. And this is in the middle of, right at the beginning of, when we discovered that we were in COVID-19. So this process is going to be very, very, very intense. We're going to have community health workers / peer counselors knock on the door. Mr. Jones, my name is Conrad Mallet. If you have any immediate emergency needs, I am here to fix those. So if you are food insecure, if you are living in a dangerous circumstance, Mr. Jones, we can do everything we can to move you into temporary but safe and secure housing. When we knock on the door, the key is we are going to come with a solution in hand. The next step in the process, we have someone that we describe as a case manager. Each one of the case managers on one team will have, 2 of them will have will have generalized social service expertise, but one of them is going to be an experienced behavioral medicine social worker with a depth of experience that can help the family navigate their way, should there be present in the house that we go to anybody who's experienced behavioral medicine issues, which includes, as some of us very well know, substance abuse. If behavioral medicine in the city of Detroit is a serious problem, every single person watching this presentation knows that, unfortunately, Detroit continues to lead the nation in a large number of negative health consequences. And so one of the members of this case management team is in fact going to be a social worker or a nurse, obviously experienced in healthcare issues. This 4-person team is going to be led by a licensed social worker. So now we're going to have social worker expertise that is managing and guiding the intervention wrought by the case manager. And the trust relationship, and that you're going to hear that over and over and over, the trust relationship that we hope to develop will be facilitated by the community health worker / peer counselor who first knocked on the door, but is going to knock on it again. Mr. Jones, here are your bus tickets so that we can get you to your next appointment. Mr. Jones, here is the name of the doctor we want you to go to, and here's the appointment that we have made. Mr. Jones, we're here to help. Can you get to the doctor's appointment that we just made for you? We understand the last time your daughter didn't come. We want to be sure that you, in fact, have the transportation that you need. Now, some of the people that we are going to encounter, in fact, have had relationships with social service providers. And we all know that some of those relationships have not been especially positive. So part of what the Community Health Corps is going to do, in partnership with our social service agency partners, is work with them to be sure that the services that are provided are meeting the needs that have been identified. We want this for once to work for everybody, and our focus is going to be the client, is going to be the client family. Now, when we talked about this with a number of persons in the social working community, they were excited about the possibility of the work that we were going to do, but indicated to us that there were policies and rules and, in some cases, laws that were in place that might prevent the program from being as successful as it could be. And so part of our job as well is going to be to document where, in fact, those barriers exist, and if those barriers have been created by the government, to create the necessary data-driven observations that cannot be refuted, because we will have gone out ourselves and collected this data, and hopefully be able to convince some of the policymakers that their rules are causing more harm than doing good. So this is the structure that I described. We're very excited about this possibility, bringing the kind of expertise that I described earlier in a structure that looks like the one you see on the screen. So this is going to be limited in the very beginning to the water department and to the housing department. If we go back just 1 second there, that's the structure we're going to have. That's the size of the team that we're going to be able to put on the field. We're not going to be able to do much more than respond to the needs identified by the water department, respond to the needs identified by the housing department. That won't be the case forever, but that's where we're going to start. We're going to outreach, as I indicated, and do all of the things that we have described here. This is, no one can read it, and I don't have them on my glasses, so I can't read it either. But the bottom line is that what the gray boxes represent is actual, Mr. Mayor, human contact, where people associated with the Community Health Corps are, in fact, in touch with the client or with the client family. Now, this work could not be done without partners, but it also couldn't be done without consultation with people who have been doing this work for decades. And so when the mayor presented me this idea, the team of persons that he assigned to me, Ray Solomon, Chelsea Nesbitt, Kenyatta Walker, persons from Nicole Sherrod Freeman's team, Sheila Clay, from Denise Fair's team, David Bowser. All of them were anxious to be sure that we did community outreach with organizations already doing this work, to be sure that the concept was one that they could endorse and furthermore would be willing to come into partnership with us. And it was universally embraced. We sent out a partnership survey. We're getting that back this week. And one of the persons that we consulted with from Family Independence, Kofi Kenyatta, indicated that he thought it important that we talk to some of the families that we had contacted through our HRD Code Blue program, or perhaps through the Water Department's RAP program, and discuss with them the approach that we were going to implement, and we in fact are going to be doing that next week. So phase one, Housing Revitalization Department referrals, Department of Water, Water Department referrals. That starts October the 8th. Phase two, we're going to expand our access, both telephonically and web access. That will come in January of 2021 if we can prove the concept and if we can produce the kind of results that all of us in the mayor's office are hopeful will be generated by this approach. So you can tell we're excited. We look forward to the opportunity. Under the broad framework of Detroit at Works, led by Nicole Sherrod-Freeman, we know that there is administrative excellence associated with everything that her team does that will bleed over into the community health core, so that we know that our back office functions are going to be well managed. And because it's Sheila Clay from Detroit at Works, it's going to be an extremely well-led organization, an experienced social worker, along with a young man as her deputy director, David Bowser. So with that, Mr. Mayor.
So you can see the amount of work that has gone into this, and what Conrad Mallett just told you is essentially the first half of it, which is we get into the house, we assess the needs, we try to stabilize the situation. At the next community meeting, Nicole Sherrod-Freeman will take you through the second half, which is we have a lot of folks who are capable of working in these situations, who haven't had access to the right education programs, haven't had access to the right job training programs, and Detroit at Work is doing a phenomenal job. And so this program will be run through Detroit at Work. So once we get in and stabilize your immediate situation that you're safe, there's going to be all kinds of opportunities for earning income so that your economic security is set for the long run, and we'll be talking about that in the coming weeks. And with that, we will take questions. Hopefully we'll put the slide up on the screen. Oh, I have to hit the button? Okay. So if you're on the phone, you have to raise your hand. If you're on the telephone, you have to hit *9 to raise your hand. And when you are called on, please unmute your phone and go ahead and ask your question. We'd ask that you keep the questions as short as you can so that we can get through as many as we can between now and 8:30. If you don't want to ask a question, you want to talk, you'll have 60 seconds at 1 minute, and then we'll go on to the next person to give everybody a chance. And with that, let's take the first question. We got anybody calling in? And if you start by telling me your name and what neighborhood you live in.
Yes, first is Belinda.
Belinda with a B? Belinda with a B. If you're there, please unmute and ask your question. Is Belinda with us?
We'll come right back to Belinda.
Okay.
Let's go to Zeke.
All right. Zeke, if you're on.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you guys hear me?
We can.
Awesome. So my name is Zeke. I'm actually a resident from District 6. And back in relation to District 6, I really just wanted to make a statement in regards to Eva Torres, the District 6 manager. I think it's really great that you guys found somebody who resided from the city, in Latino culture to represent us in the neighborhood. Anytime I have a question or I need anything, she's super helpful. She's super resourceful. So I just wanted to give you that feedback and that information. I think you guys are doing a good job there.
Okay, we're thinking about keeping Eva, so it's good to hear. Do you have a question?
No, absolutely not.
The only person in the city of Detroit without a complaint. If you had one thing your neighbor would want you to ask me, what would it be?
When are we going to fix these roads a little more?
All right, so there you go. And so we are, of course, supporting the governor in her effort to deal with that has been so far unsuccessful. And so we're doing about 100 miles of road resurfacing this year. We probably ought to be doing 200 miles, but our money comes from the gas tax, but we're going to keep going. And the other thing is we're doing a little bit less paving because we've been putting money into speed humps, and I think we're going to continue to do that. There is way too much speeding in this city, and our children are much too much at risk, and so I think we've got upwards of 500 locations this year we're putting in speed humps. I'd like to raise that next year, and so we're balancing the new paving versus making what we have safe, but we're going to keep pushing until we can get Lansing to fund these roads properly. So I'm going to keep working at it, but thank you for the call.
Okay, back to Belinda.
Okay. Have you unmuted, Belinda?
I'm unmuted.
All right, how are you tonight?
Um, so I reside in the 48217 area
Right.
area code and or zip code. I'm sorry,
Oh,
and
we are.
there's not really anything going on down there. I mean, I see that they're kind of like doing the roads down there, but other than that, like
How about the Kemeny Rec Center?
something. Well, yeah, Kimini is great.
Okay, so we're not really doing anything, but okay, I'm with you. Uh, you have a special neighborhood down there. And Kemeny is the one rec center where we put major money, not just into the center itself in the expansion, but also the surrounding recreation area. That's been the anchor of that neighborhood for decades, and the fact that the rec center was closed hurt a lot. But I agree with you. We have a lot of houses down in your area that can be renovated. When we started the Citywide Board Up program, we boarded your zip code first because we felt like there were so many houses down there that can be saved. And if we can get proposal N through, I think we got a chance. We got some houses in your neighborhood, as you know, need to be taken down. We got a lot that we can fix up and get neighbors back in. But I haven't forgotten about you. Kemeny was just a start. What else would you like to see us doing?
Just I just feel like we being neglected. That's all.
So
And like
how long have you lived there?
45 years.
Okay, so if you were the mayor, what's the first thing you would do in 48217 to make you feel less neglected?
What you were renovating the homes,
Okay,
those abandoned homes, renovating them and allowing more of, because everybody's kind of like related to everybody and we
Nice.
know everybody and
Close group.
we tend to stay there
Yeah.
in our neighborhood. So more so renovating the homes where we're able to just stay in our community.
Yeah, you can remember who lived there a generation and two generations ago, and a lot of times it's the same family in the house, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
It's a special neighborhood. So if we can get proposal N through on November 3rd, there's going to be a lot of renovations coming to your neighborhood, and I'll be down there myself. But thank you for the call.
No problem. Thank you.
Next is Creed. Creed.
Creed, are you with us?
Can you hear me?
We can, loud and clear.
I've sent a couple of pictures and emails to your office in regards to actually what you guys are talking about now, which is the abandoned homes, houses, etc. I live in the Quarry St. Mary neighborhood, which is the 48227 neighborhood on the west side of Detroit.
You're in District 1.
And-
Go ahead.
Right, this is one. I live in a house that my parents purchased back in the early 1970s.
Right.
And the home itself is still a very nice home, brick home. We were the first Black family to move on the block. But I say all that to say, when we moved on the block, all the houses from where I live at now to going to Grand River and going opposite direction to 6 Mile were very nice homes.
Right.
Right now, that's not the case.
Right.
And I'm just wondering what is happening with the housing stock, because on my block itself, of the 27 houses on my block, 4 are abandoned and just look horrendous. And I've contacted your office in regards to the grass in the backyards, the grass in the front. We on the block, we take care of the front because we want the block to look nice, but that's not our responsibility. And we're trespassing on somebody else's property.
Well, I promise you we won't complain about you trespassing. But here is the reality, is that the land bank, which gets property because they were foreclosed on, land bank doesn't want the property. Land bank's probably got 30 or 40,000 properties today. And what we're trying to do is get out of the business and sell the ones that can be fixed, put them into private owners, sell the side lots. We've sold 8,000 or 9,000 side lots to neighbors, and we're trying to get as much as we can. Quarry St. Mary's is an area where the land bank has done a program they call Rehabbed and Ready. They actually renovated a number of houses in that neighborhood to kind of raise the property values in the area. Do you have any houses on your block that can be saved and renovated?
There are a couple, at least of the 4, 2 of them I'm pretty sure that can be. One of them caught fire in October. because squatters were in
Right.
there
Right.
trying to stay warm and whatnot, and I guess the fire got out of control. But yeah, on this particular block, at least 2 of them can be renovated, if not 3.
So we got 21,000 houses down and 8,000 renovated before. We got another 14,000 to get down and 8,000 more to renovate. But here's the way I'd like to see us go at it. If we go in and knock down the 2 on your block that can't be saved, that are burned out, the chances of us getting somebody to renovate the other 2 go way up, right? Because people want to be in a neighborhood that's going the right direction. And that's the way we see, if we get proposal N through, going at it. Knock down the 2 we can't save, immediately get in and secure the 2 we can save, and then look for owners to fix them up. And so it's a monumental task. I mean, 250,000 people moved out of this city in 10 years. It's just mind-boggling. And they left behind a lot of good homes as well as some not-so-good homes. And so we're going to keep working at it. But I will say this to you, Proposal N is the solution. The houses don't renovate themselves. The houses don't demolish themselves. We've got to have the resources. And so I hope you'll talk to your neighbors about what it would mean to your neighborhood. All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
Next is phone number ending in 499.
So if your phone number ends in 499, you are up. So tell us your name and what neighborhood you're from.
Vicky Perez. I'm from the Smart and McGraw area.
Okay?
We're having a issue with rodents
Okay?
in our trash cans and pouring the trash everywhere. Our neighbor on 8695 Smart Street was cited yesterday, and we don't feel that he should have been cited because of the rodents. He did not bring them there. They're coming from everywhere. They're running up on our porches now. They're not afraid of us.
Okay,
And
so it
it's
sounds
getting
like somebody
out.
complained and the inspectors went out if they cited them.
yes.
What would you like to see us do?
Come out and help us fight the rodents. And we're paying for trash cans that they're just eating up. I just had to order a new one for my house.
So I'm going to ask our environmental services folks to come out and look. Unfortunately, in a lot of cases, the rodents are nesting in an abandoned house, in a particular area, et cetera. We got to figure out where that is. And so what the building and safety team tries to do is ticket the people that create the environments that allow for the nesting. If we didn't get the right person, we'll fix that. But if you will give us your address offline, I don't want you to tell us here, Eva will call you tomorrow, and your district manager.
Okay.
And we will come out and take a look. If we got somebody unfairly, we'll fix that. But you want this thing solved. You don't necessarily just want tickets written.
Exactly. It's not going to help nothing. They're having a hard enough time feeding their families, and instead of being ticketed, when the whole neighborhood, both blocks, we have the railroad tracks behind us. We need something to help kill these things, because, like I said, they're running up on our porches now. They're not afraid of us.
Now, I bet on your block, and it's going to be a challenge. We're going to have to get in there with a real plan. So Eva will call you tomorrow, and let's see what we can do.
Okay.
All right.
And then we have another issue is the sinkhole on the corner that was fixed last year is sinking back in because it's got the underground tunnel. It's caving back in.
Is this the one that fixed after I went to the house party? Yeah, I visited that neighborhood. Gary Brown is here, and I called him from the house. Were you the host of the event, or were you at the event when I was there last year?
I was the host.
Okay, well, you remember then you showed me the sinkhole. So Gary Brown's going to come. He's going to tell you what he's going to do to fix the sinkhole. Gary tried once, but this time he's going to come out back. And thank you for hosting me. I really miss being once a week in somebody's living room because I learned so much. But Gary,
we would welcome you back. Hello?
It's incredible. I can't believe that it isn't fixed. What street was it on? I remember the call.
It's on Addison and Smart, right on the corner. It was the underground where they thought it was the water, then the water thought it was the DTE, and they kind of fixed it, but it's sinking back in again because they said there's a tunnel underneath.
Okay. All right. I promise you, we'll be out tomorrow morning, and we won't point the finger at DTE or the lighting department. The water department will take care of it.
Exactly, because you know what? It's our street. It's our department. It's our problem because we have to drive over that every day.
We'll take care of it tomorrow morning.
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
All right. And so thank you. When COVID lifts, I'll come back out and see you again, and we'll look together at the work that Gary did. So thank you for the call.
That would be wonderful. And yes, we love Eva, and we want to keep Eva, and we want to keep you, without a doubt.
Okay, well, you'll get a chance to rehire me or not rehire me next year, so we'll see how that goes. Eva goes with me one way or the other.
That's
All right.
right.
Next.
Next is
Okay.
Galaxy Note.
And like I said,
Did you have another question?
yes, I would just want to know what we can do about our trash cans. Are we just going to have to keep rebuying them? Or
Eva's going to solve that with you tomorrow when she talks about the rats.
all right, Eva, you got my number.
Okay. All right.
Next is Galaxy Note 9.
Okay, I don't know what Galaxy Note 9 means, but if whoever's on there knows, you're up.
Hi, yes, I'm up.
All right, it worked. Tell us your name and what neighborhood you're from. Sounds like you might be in an area without great cell phone service.
Area.
Okay, you're breaking
Hello,
up.
can you hear me?
You're breaking up, but why don't you go ahead and try?
Yes, can you? I am in the 8 Mile and Van Dyke area.
8 Mile and Van Dyke, okay.
8 Mile and Van Dyke area, so that's the 48234 area.
I know where it is.
Definitely. So we definitely have speeders that come down the one way. I would totally appreciate signs, or your children live here. Speed bump to some recognition, because we get fast cars that fly down the one-way area all the time, or come in through the one-way.
Okay, so let's get your number offline. You're in District 3, I think.
I am.
Okay, so let's get
I
your
live in District 6.
let's get your number offline, and we'll have DPW call you and see what's possible. We got a lot of areas of this city where people are driving
I've
way
also
too
been in
fast.
District 6 as well.
Okay.
And I just want to say about, I've heard so many people talk great about Eva on this call, and she has been my main source still of my go-to. She has connected me with so many people in my district.
Eva's poaching on District 3?
Her,
Ernest Johnson's not going to be happy to hear this, but okay.
she has connected me to so many people in
All right.
my district since
Okay.
I've moved.
All right.
And I've even seen her standing in the front line. Like, I'm a caterer, so I've seen her on many occasions standing in the front line at different food events for food shelters.
Yeah. Eva doesn't miss a
And
food event.
she does not, and she is on the front line, and I really appreciate her. She is still my go-to gal when I need some kind of assistance from the city of Detroit. She is there for me.
Well, and now what I love is she's converted her food events to sign up for the census, which is a great thing, and we need people to fill out their census forms. So she's been the leader. Have you filled yours out?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would also like to know, I'm not sure if this is your expertise or not, the actual governors. When we open up DPS again, where is the lottery money going?
Yeah, that's one for the governor. When she does her thing, you're going to have to talk to her about that.
Okay.
All right, but thank you. We're going to get on this, and we're going to hand you off to Ernest Johnson, who is your new district manager, and we will tell him he has a high standard to live up to since you moved from Eva's district. All right, but thank you very much for the call.
Yes. Thank you so much, and enjoy your evening.
All right.
Okay, next is Renard.
Okay, Renard, you're on.
All right, good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right. So I heard about the new proposed North Transit Center, and I just want to say that this addresses long-standing concerns that bus riders have in terms of like being close to job centers, restaurants, and the lack of restrooms in the current State Fair Transit Center, and it wasn't really good for protecting people from the elements. With this deal, the city clearly is selling this land to a developer. Will the city of Detroit own retain ownership or lease of the transit center now that you're sharing this with Smart? I'm a lifelong bus rider. I live in District 2 of Detroit. I grew up in District 1 as well. And I use the transit center a lot. I ride the buses a lot. It's my main way of transportation. And I'm concerned with the facial recognition and with these cameras as well too, that they're falsely criminalizing people, especially people with darker complexion. And I'm worried that this technology could could put a lot of bus riders that are majority black into harm by getting criminalized for this. So is this new building going to have surveillance technology? And then also, because it's privately owned, will this building be shut down during, God forbid, another possible outbreak as well? And then lastly, I've got one last question here. Can you commit tonight to suspending fares through the end of this year? Can you please do that?
Can I commit to what?
Commit to suspending bus fares through the end of the year so that our drivers and our riders can be safe.
So let me
That
let
was
me
just the
let me
last
go.
part of that question.
Let me go in order. So one, the city will own the transit center. That we are not selling that to the private developer. It's going to be our responsibility to maintain it. And if the other listeners haven't heard, as part of the Amazon development we announced today, we're going to build an indoor transit center at the State Fairgrounds. It's going to be similar to what you have at Rosa Parks so that people can wait inside. We've got 30,000 riders a week come through that area, and they're sitting outside in the elements waiting for transfers. This is going to be, you're going to be indoors with Wi-Fi, appropriate temperatures, restrooms. It'll be good for both the bus operators as well as the public. As far as the fares, the reason that we stopped the fares was at the bus driver's request. We did it in March because when passengers get on the bus, they were interacting with the drivers at the fare box. And if only 1 in 100 Detroiters has COVID, which is probably true today, but you're driving 200 people a day, you're going to be exchanging breath with people who are sick. And so we have been taking, as you well know, people coming on and off through the back door to protect the health of our drivers. We have ordered basically shields, plastic doors for the drivers that will protect them and separate them from the public. Those are going to get installed late this year or early next year. After the driver doors have been installed, we'll start collecting fares again. And I can't tell you whether that's going to be December, whether that's going to be February, but we will start collecting fares when it doesn't put the driver's health at risk, and it'll be sometime in the next 6 months or so.
Mhm.
All right?
Next is phone number ending in 630.
Okay, your phone number ends in 630. You're on.
Hi, Mayor.
Uh,
My name is Anna Richardson. I am calling. I am supporting District 6, and I'm also a part of District 7. I'm a Black Club captain of Joy Road Daily Court Community, a new Black club.
Okay.
Don't change your name again. Sorry about that.
Your new Block Club?
Questions that I have.
Uh,
Yes, a new Black club, but we're gonna change the name. Though,
Are you
but
the
that's
are you the
okay.
president?
Yes.
Congratulations. Was it a hard campaign?
Oh no, it wasn't hard at all.
All right.
Look, I couldn't find anyone. We just kind of spearheaded. I just got blessed to meet a dynamic vice president who is just as gun-ho as I am here in District 6. And Eva Torres, we've been really working with her diligently at cleaning up that area. And we are just so grateful. We've been doing massive cleanups over there in that area. It is absolutely beautiful. The police drove by I had somebody parking one of my properties, and he said his mouth dropped open. He said, I ain't never seen it so pretty over here. So we've been working like dogs.
Well,
Forgive me, I do have a little bit of asthma, so forgive me about my breathing.
so
And,
I just want to say thank you for what
but
you're doing. What we see across this city, you go from one area to the next and you say, why is this area doing so well and why is this area not? The places with the strong block clubs are coming back faster than those that aren't. So thank you for what you're doing.
yes, I appreciate it. Yes, it's my pleasure. I grew up in that area. That area blessed me. We had grassrooters that taught us the way. So a lot of them just got too old or they passed away. So I said, the ancestors, I said, look, pass me the baton, and we're about to do it, and we're
All
doing
right.
it. So anyway, my questions are to you is, in regards to proposal N, you said they're going to be selling bonds, and we would like to know who will be able to purchase those bonds that you're going to be selling and how to purchase them. And then also, we have problems over there. The problems that I noticed that we're having over there in District 6 is the fact that cleanup has been like the number one effort. I mean, we haven't even been able to do a lot of paperwork because we've been scrubbing the old 10-year and 15-year debris.
All right.
Now, one thing that we're struggling with is trash pickup. Trash pickup. I mean,
Who's your
it's
trash?
like
Who's your company?
huh?
Have you got Advanced or GFL?
Advanced ways. They are very interesting.
Yeah.
How their work ethics are not.
I'm going to deal with it.
Are poor.
So let me just say this to you. I've got a lot of complaints about Advanced, and I'm going to deal with it, and we're dealing with it right now as far as enforcing their contractual standards. And we are hearing far more complaints from them than we are with the company that does the other half of the city. So I appreciate what you're saying. On the question of the bonds, Dave Masseron, our chief financial officer, is here, and I know he wanted a chance to answer a question from somebody. But the way the bonds go is they mostly get sold on Wall Street, but sometimes government set up the opportunity for citizens to purchase bonds. You'll get, I don't know, 3 or 4% interest with no taxes. But let's see if Dave will set up something where Detroiters can buy the bonds. So if you haven't met our CFO, we'll let him speak here.
Okay.
Thanks, Mayor. So we're currently undertaking a bond issue unrelated to the Proposal N bonds, and one of the lead banks is a Detroit-based bank. It's actually one of the largest investment banks in the country that deals in the municipal bond space, and I know they make available the bonds on a retail basis or to people that live in the area. So I imagine if the election goes well that we would do something similar with the same bank, and that would be available to you at the time the transaction occurs. And we'll put a link on the website so people know which bank to contact who acts as our intermediary to sell these bonds.
So they'll be able to buy bonds?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, and you'll let us know when is the deadline to purchase them and
Yeah,
all the criteria.
So if this
Okay.
passes in November 3rd, we hope to sell the bonds in December, and I think you've got a great suggestion, and we will make it a point to make some bonds available for Detroiters to buy directly, and you can make money investing in your own city. That'd be a great idea. I like that. So you're the first person of all these calls I've done to suggest that. We're going to make sure we follow up. So thank you very much.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so you talked about that. Also, with going back to the trash, what I know advanced. Are you working with advanced ways regarding also the trees? They picking up the trees. I've been sending up brushes. We got months of them.
Is somebody here from DPW?
Of COVID, and I just watch them drive by. They drive by, act like they getting ready to pick up, and they just keep on driving.
So we've got certain standards for picking up the brush, and I've got somebody from DPW is going to tell you the standards. If you put the brush out to the standards, they have to pick it up. If you don't, they'll drive by it. But if they're driving by it when you have met the standards, then I'm going to deal with that. But go ahead.
Okay, yeah, okay, so, I guess you'll try to issue tickets when they don't apply to the standards, right?
Oh,
So if you apply, if you can still giving them a ticket and they're still leaving the brushes, we still at a point where the neighborhood is not clean.
so what we're gonna do, if we notice tree branches and things that are not in compliance, if we are not able to pick them up, we will make sure we put a tag on it. There's no reason for Advance or any of our contractors to leave tree and debris. If they are not going to pick it up, they should tag it and let you know why they are not picking it up. But we'll make sure we work with them. I will make sure that we work with Eva to get your address, and we'll visit that place tomorrow morning to make the right amendments.
All right. So, bottom line is, if they leave the brush behind, they should leave you a tag on the brush indicating what you need to do to bring it in compliance. If they drive by and leave it and don't tag it, we will follow up on that. And Eva's going to follow up in your particular area, and I'm dealing with Advance in general. All right, well, thank you very much for your call. Let us see if we can get on that.
Okay, next is Jackie.
Jackie, you're up.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Um, my complaint or question is regarding land bank property. Not clear on how the land bank works, but I've been in my home since the 50s. And I inherited my home. Not only did I live there, I inherited my home from my grandmother, which bought the home working as a maid in the suburbs. And she paid for her home. And I inherited, she passed away in 93. I refinanced the home and did improvements on the home. So I keep my home up.
What neighborhood are you in?
Next to I'm 4210 Hartford
Okay.
Street. And I keep my home up, I keep my yard up. But I'm living next to I'm in between two vacant houses, but one is land bank and one is private.
Okay.
The land bank home and the private home have so much overgrowth and trees that they're knocking down my fence. The land bank home tree is actually touching my home and covering up my security light. So that makes my security not what it should be because it's overshadowed with this tree. As well as the front of the home has vines that have grown, just taken over the front of the home. You can barely even see the home on the bottom half because of the vines and the trees that have taken over. For years, I got out and cut trees, like the other lady was saying, cut trees, pull vines off. I had my fence cleared last year, but I'm 69 years old and I have underlying conditions. I have arthritis, high blood pressure, pre-diabetic. I just got some physical things going on where I just can't do it. And I pay people to cut the bigger trees and they come back because they only take the top off of it. And next thing you know, the tree's coming back.
Okay, so let's start with what I can do to help you. And this is an issue all over the city. But if there is a tree or vines on land bank property that's damaging your fence, touching your house, affecting your property, we'll get out there this week and we'll take care of it. We're not going to let the land bank property damage your property. So I want you to give your address as we get offline here, and we will get somebody out to look at it tomorrow, and we will deal with any tree or vines coming from land bank property that are threatening your property. The ability to deal with these houses overall is going to depend on getting this ballot issue through, but we're not going to wait on that. We're going to get out and take care of that tree right away.
Thank you.
All right.
And my other issue is this privately owned property. They've been ticketed a number of times.
Right.
And their taxes are behind.
Right.
They're doing nothing.
Right.
It's really big. It's a nuisance.
Right.
To have my garage is actually being crushed by this tree in this private owned property.
So this will tell you how complicated everything is. We don't have a right to do anything to that private property except write tickets unless we file a lawsuit to take title to that property, which we've done in a number of cases. We give people the right to either fix it up or we take it. The problem is the land bank's got more houses than they can handle right now. So to file a lawsuit and take another house to the land bank doesn't make sense. But I'm going to come back to what Proposal N gives us the ability to do. It gives us the resources to be able to sue, take the home from the person who absolutely has neglected it, and fix it up. So right now, I can't do anything about that private house next to you besides continue to write tickets. And so I'm just going to be honest with you what I can do and what I can't do. I can get out and deal with the tree and the problems on the land bank house and get that tree off of your property. But we're going to need a ballot issue to go through on November 3rd before we're going to be able to deal with these private properties across the city in any way other than to write them tickets. And I know that's frustrating, but that's where we are.
Okay, next is phone number ending in 598.
598, if that's the end of your phone number, you're up.
You are unmuted.
Okay, so the person whose phone number ends in 598, please say hello.
Okay, we'll move on and come back. Phone number ending in 973.
Hello?
Okay,
Hello?
go ahead. Tell us your name and where you live.
Okay, my name is Emma Mullins. I'm District 6, 48217.
Okay,
I have a few issues that I would like to discuss.
Okay.
Mr. Mills was out to my house yesterday, look at a few things. We did talk about some things on the street. Hopefully they can be taken care of. My first concern is the house next to the lot that I purchased from the city.
okay,
That address is 12845. Now they have come out, Michigan Land Bank, they stripped the house, they took the siding off, they took all the boards off, the gas was turned off. They had actually given us a date that they were going to demo the house, but Corona came in, and it was around March 16th that they were supposed to take it down, but then after that, everything shut down. But now the house is unlivable. The windows are open. The doors is open. There's debris all in the house. People are now starting to tear things off of the house, putting it on their house and things in that matter. The backyard is very, very, very much overgrown there, so hopefully something can be done about that. I do keep the front grass cut at that property because it's next door to my lot. I take care of that, but I'm not going in that backyard. There's possums, raccoons, you name it, it's there. So hopefully we can get that done.
Fine.
My next issue is about
okay, so I'm going to stop you on that. Eva, do you know this address? Okay, so here's the question that I need to get the information from you. We have about 500 houses where the demolition contracts were entered into before we ran out of money. What I don't know is whether that house 2 doors down from you is one of those. So I need
it should have been.
I need to find that out. Well, if they told you in March, it's possible it was. And if it was, we can get you a date. If it wasn't one that was contracted, we're going to need to get this ballot proposal through. And for those who are calling again with these questions, I hope you'll also talk to your council member, because your council member has
Well,
not.
I have been, right.
Okay, she has not been supportive of funding for these demolition programs. And so
No, I don't know.
she says she doesn't hear that from people in the community. So I'm just saying, I'm going to work on this, but it'd be really good if you let your council member know how important addressing blight is. But if we can get your address offline, we will get you a call tomorrow, and we'll tell you whether the address on that house is in those last 500 and when you can expect it, or whether it's not. But we can get you that quickly. If you happen to know the well, I don't want you to do the address on the air. We'll get it offline and we'll get back to you tomorrow. Go ahead, you had a second question.
Okay, my second question was about the speed bumps as well. I know Mr. Mills told me that we were approved for
speed bumps on our street.
Okay?
That's because of the fact with the Michigan left, when they make that Michigan left, they're
Yeah.
headed right down our street.
Right.
So that's why we
Right.
had the speeding.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Good.
So he
No, you
said
got
that
you got some really fast drivers down in your area.
yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. And we got a lot of kids and everything, but we're blessed to have a diverse block and all the neighbors get along good. The only thing that we're trying to do is have a nice, affordable block to live in. And then we have one private owner that's right next to the service drive that has all this overgrown. You can't walk on the sidewalk there. Now that house could probably be saved because at one time it was a 2-family flat and it could be saved probably. But the thing about it is that person who works for one of the city departments and everything, I've been complaining about it since 2015.
Does this person live in the house?
Not done. No, she does not live in the house. She
So
moved
you're-
out and left the house abandoned
Okay, well, I-
downtown to one of those nice condos.
So I want you to give us that address offline because it sounds like that person can afford to pay the fine tickets if we write them.
But
So.
I say, right.
So I want you to give us that address when we get you offline as well. Eva's going to follow up with you, but if we've got a city employee who is not keeping a house up to code, we will deal with that very quickly.
Okay.
Anything else?
But I gave him the information. I gave Mr. Mills the information about
Okay.
that property. And
Okay.
like I said, if we could get something did about that service drive, Fisher West and everything between Visiger and Downey going towards Kimberly Center and stuff, I think this would be a much better area.
All right. Well, I hope you'll tell your friends about Proposal N because I would like nothing better than to be out with you next year securing and starting to renovate these houses because your neighborhood has got so much potential. It was really special, as you know, and there's still so many good houses there that can be saved and renovated, and I'd love to see us do it. All right. Thank you very much for the call.
Next caller, phone number ending in 973.
Okay, if your phone number ends in 973, you're up.
Okay. Hi, Mr. Mayor.
How are you?
Hello?
We can hear you.
Fine. Thank you. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for, I met with Ray Solomon because I wanted to meet with you, but got Ray Solomon, which he did a very good job. So I do want to thank you for that. And and Ray Solomon, also with Deputy Chief Edison. And I was also able to get my meeting with Chief Craig on Zoom, but I live I'm in the 482-110 zip code, and there are a lot of issues with drugs that people bring up at the Board of Police Commissioners. But with this speeding that all of the residents are speaking of, and they talk a lot about that on the Board of Police Commissioners, when it's at least over 50% of the comments are speeding.
No
I just
question
think
about
we
it.
probably need to hone in on that because with the as a public health nurse 10 years ago, it was an international speaker on marijuana was talking about the dangers of speeding and accidents in Colorado that they were not sharing once they legalized marijuana. So with the alcohol use and the marijuana, it's affecting the motor coordination, and it is on the National Institute of Drug Abuse and the National Highway Safety Administration that with all of these dispensaries, this is the effect of speeding, and it really is causing an issue. We cannot get I'm gonna try to get the speed bumps in our area, but with the drugs and everything, people don't realize that it has an impact. And one of the things I was telling Mr. Solomon and Deputy Chief Bedison, with all of these dispensaries, I did reach out to Chief Craig, was just to let him know so officers would be prepared. And I know, Mr. Mayor, was a challenge for you. I felt you did very well with the COVID response. That we're going to start having upticks with the flu epidemic. So,
Right, we will.
I did reach out with one of your staff to speak on that on a call. But that's my concern in terms of environmental. One of the homes that we got torn down, that I do want to thank your staff. The neighbors talked about how better it is for their breathing. And I know you know this, Mr. Mayor, right at the 48235, I talked about the 48217 with Marathon, 48219. That's where you found a lot of your 1,000 cases of COVID. And it has
There's no question. I know they're about, I know you're over your limit. I know they're about to cut you off, but you're absolutely right. The people who are at most at risk, if you look at particularly where the deaths have happened from COVID, they are either people who are very elderly or people who had breathing or other issues before they got COVID. And so the folks that you're talking about are most at risk. I am concerned about what happens later this year when the seasonal flu comes in. I'll be getting my flu shot as part of a public campaign because we're going to need to keep beds free from seasonal flu because I think we're going to probably see COVID pick up again, and there'll be an initiative from our health department as well. So we're going to be on top of those things, but I agree with you. And I also agree with you that these abandoned houses are a hazard all the way around. The sooner we get them out of there, the safer everybody is. So thank you very much for the call.
Next is Sherry, 1 minute.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for taking my call. I have a couple of questions. The first one is,
Sherry, where do you live?
I'm in Midwest,
Okay.
District 6, the northern border.
Yes.
And I
Okay.
know on the map that you have a lot of red dots
Right.
there in terms of the
There's
housing.
no area of this city that would benefit more from Proposal N than your neighborhood. We got a lot we can save, and we got a lot we can knock down.
Okay, so we can look forward to that happening as soon as that proposal passes.
Your area is going to be one of the prime targets. You're probably, in Southwest Detroit, you are the area that will get most of the attention. And I've been anxious to get there, and we're going to be able to if we can get this thing passed.
Okay, and I have one other, just in the comment. In regards to the community health course, I know I did the PTE, property tax exemption canvassing, and I ran into a lot of people who were, homes were in disrepair, and some of them are elderly. Those people are not gonna be too keen to leaving their homes. Like I heard Deputy Mayor say that they would move them to temporary safe homes, but is that voluntary or?
No, we're not going to move them to temporary safe homes, unless we're totally tearing the place apart. But we'll figure that out. I don't know if, go ahead. I'll let Deputy Mayor answer that.
So I was referring directly to foreclosed upon land bank homes where the person living in them was in property that they did not own, but that was extremely dangerous for them in terms of the health of them and their family. If we encounter someone who is in their own home, their exit will be purely voluntary. We do want to make sure that that particular person, however, gets the same level of access to social service support that they would be entitled to. So everything is going to be individualized, as I tried to emphasize earlier in the presentation. Everything that we do will be focused on the client's needs and the client's circumstance. So if it's an elderly person living in their own home that has fallen into disrepair, there are a number of programs out there that I'm familiar with. I can't name them off directly, but I know that, for instance, there are a couple of community development corporations who have had grant funding to go in to do emergency home repair for senior citizens who live in their area. So there's a number of options that we hope to be able to supply to citizens who have the need. And what we intend to do, as we indicated, is knock on the door and ask them, how can we help?
Thank you.
So we're not talking about moving people out of houses that they own or that they rent. That's not what we're going to do. All right, but thank you very much for the call. Go ahead. We got about 10 more folks. Let's see how many we can get through. We might run a little bit long, but let's see if we can get through them. Go ahead. Who's next?
Next is Rushan. Please unmute yourself.
Hello, Mayor. I'm Rashan Long, and I live in 48210 District 6 in the northern part.
Mm-hmm.
And I live in an area, as you already described, that we could really benefit for getting some of these houses down.
Right.
But what I wanted to make a statement on is that this coming Thursday at 6 p.m., the Joe Louis Greenway is having a public meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So people in our area should get on that call.
Absolutely.
They hear about it and what it's bringing to our community. And they can go to joelewisgreenway.com and get on again this Thursday at 6 p.m. You have an opportunity in our community, and that's West Warren, Tireman, Joy Road, from Livernois back to Wyoming, which Wyoming is District 7. But please get on. We have been waiting for a lot of positive change in our
Right.
community, and I implore everybody, please get on this call, make your requests known so that we can make some great improvements over here.
Thank you very much for bringing that up, and you're right. I think the Joe Louis Greenway has enormous potential to increase the values in your neighborhood. And when we get it built out, you'll be able to walk or ride, depending on your stamina, down to the riverfront. We're going to connect up the whole city in a loop in a dedicated greenway. In other parts of the country where they have done this, the adjoining neighborhoods have benefited quite a bit. So I agree with you. Your neighbors ought to be on this because I think this is a real opportunity, and I appreciate you bringing that up.
Okay, because I am the representative for the area. I'm on the Citizens Advisory Council. I'm also in the Block Club. We also have a Greenway Heritage Conservancy, a nonprofit we formed to help secure our neighborhood.
So you're excited about the Greenway.
Right. And one other thing is these speed bumps again.
I
I
know.
do live on the street, and Eva has worked very, very, very closely with us. She's brought a food distribution program over here where we had nothing, and I really want to give her accolades because she works very hard. But I live on a street that has a park on it, Laker Park. And we have been trying to get speed humps because, like every other street, they speed down the street.
I'm
but
surprised
kids
we
walk
we have a park that doesn't have speed humps going in. I thought we were getting to all the parks this year.
these speed humps on Brighton or Central. And kids walk up and down these streets trying to get to the park. And you got speeders coming down here.
Let me ask here, because I thought we had speed humps going in adjacent to every park in the city this year. So do we not have speed humps going in there?
Nope.
Okay, I need to find out why that is.
Okay.
Because if it's adjacent to a park, there should be speed humps going in. I thought by the end of this year we were going to have them all. But Eva will call you back tomorrow, and we're going to get you an answer on that.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. All right, who's next?
Next is Tina.
Tina, you're up.
Tina, please unmute yourself.
Tina,
Move on to Michael and come back to Tina.
okay, Michael, you're up.
Hello. Hello.
Is this Tina?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't think it was Michael. Go ahead. Where do you live, Tina?
Sorry about that. How are you? I'm zip code 48209.
Okay.
So I have a couple of concerns. Thank you for taking the time to address the concerns that all of us are having in our different districts. I appreciate that. So my concern is flooding on Livernois. Every time it rains, and I do mean every time it rains, and I lived here for 20 years, there's a ocean of water.
Livernois and what?
I'm sorry?
Livernois and what? Where on Livernois?
Regular. West Verner, but the main street is regular.
Okay.
Livernois and regular.
Gary, is this you? Okay, so Gary Brown is going to answer this question, whether it's the storm drain or what the case may be. We're going to get out and take a look at it. So I'm going to have Gary Brown talk to you, tell him exactly where it is, and you can go take a look at it tomorrow.
All right, awesome. I greatly appreciate that. And then also, I wanted to address truck traffic vibration damaging the properties of everyone that lives on Livernois, as far as cracks in the floor, cracks like at the base of the walls. And also, like Ms. Perez is saying, a terrible rodent issue, because I live right here by the Gordy-Hattie Bridge project, and I've had to order services for pest control. I've called the city in the past, and it just seems like these, like she said, these rodents just don't want to go away, no way. And it's very difficult to enjoy your home or your backyard when you have to see the sewer rats, you know, either during the day or at night, or like she said, running in and out of the garbage can. So those are other things that are my concerns. The main thing is the truck traffic ruining the foundations of the home. And I wanted to see what could be done about that. I know that's not a quick fix, but it's been going on a very, very long time, along with this water issue, and now the rodents from the construction.
Well, I can certainly take care of the water issue. We've got 90,000 storm drains to clean. We got dedicated crews that are out working on that, and we can come out and check those drains on Livernois and Werner if we get the exact location of that flooding. I know down in that area, we've given a lot of special attention to the viaducts that were flooding when you had big storms, and I think we've got a pretty good handle on that. But we certainly can get out as early as tomorrow and check those storm drains, make sure they're clean, and if they're not, we'll get some rodding crews in and clean them out so that we get the water flowing through those drains.
I'm not sure that there's a lot I can do about truck traffic. That's governed by state law and weights. But Eva, if we can follow up on the rodent issue tomorrow, and let's see what we can do there. All right, so let's, I think probably the most immediate effect we're going to have, though, is we'll see if we can't get Livernois to stop flooding when it rains. Thank you.
Okay, next is Michael.
Michael, you're up.
Michael, please unmute yourself.
Oh, hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Hello? Okay, I'm a resident of 48209. I've been there for about a year and a half. I'm speaking of a resident, I'm also the community relations sergeant at the 4th Precinct, so I have a pretty unique opportunity. I just called to, I had a little concerns about the bridge that's going to be, the pedestrian bridge that's going to be erected over there, over 75 and then onto a landing on 4th Street. I've been in contact with city council and
What's your concern?
It doesn't make sense building a pedestrian bridge and having it land on 4th Street instead of the service drive. The concerns is parking, putting those houses over there underneath the bridge. I think it's actually going to cause a safe haven for vagrants to seek shelter underneath the bridge.
Time.
Things of that sort.
So Eva, is this a different one than we looked at? It's the same one?
Yes.
It's the same one. And I'm trying to remember, what street were they running that bridge down?
Junction.
Junction. Yeah. So I have a question of whether Junction is the right street to put the bridge down to start with. Arthur, do you have more information since the last time we were out there? So Arthur Jemison came out and walked it with me last week, and I got educated in it, and hopefully he has some answers. We can't completely control what the Canadian Bridge Company does, but we'll see what we can do. Go ahead.
Good evening. No, I know you've been in touch with Simone and Julio and Kevin from my office about the options there. As the mayor said, we did go do a walkthrough and spoke with Letitia Aguilar on, I think it was Monday morning. So we've done a walk around. We're looking at all the options that are available there. WDBA did the community outreach for this, and it seems like they missed this part of it. So what we're going to do together with them is come up with a set of options that we can deploy there for you and Ms. Aguilar, who owns those properties across the street. So we've been out there, we're looking at it to see if there's anything we can do in the near term. We're going to brief mayor's office, and then we'll be out to talk to you again soon.
All right, so we're on it. You pretty well convinced me they made the wrong choice, but we got to convince them. We got to convince the bridge company to go along. All right, who's next?
Next is Suzette.
Okay, Suzette, you are up.
Hi, Mayor.
How are you?
Thanks for the great job you're doing.
Oh, you sound like you're in a good mood tonight.
I am. I'm happy to see you. I just have a few concerns, and I also would like to thank Eva Torres for coming out.
And what neighborhood are you in?
We are in 48209.
Okay.
And my concern is, one, landlords being reliable on keeping their tenants, keep their yards clean.
Mm-hmm.
Next is, for 3 years, we had a sinkhole behind the property that we purchased,
Uh-huh.
which is adjacent to our home.
Is the sinkhole fixed?
Um, it's covered up yesterday,
Okay.
finally. But they tried to fix it 3 weeks ago, and the debris is still sitting there, all the cement. And another sinkhole happened.
Okay, Gary, it sounds like this is your night.
Yay, Gary, come on out.
And Dave Bell's going to talk to you about the landlords, too. He's here, too. So let me have them deal with those two things, and let's see if we can get you some answers.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds like Ron Brundridge took the right night to be off. If we've got, I'm not sure if Ron has played at that particular sinkhole or it was DWSD, but tomorrow morning, I'll have a team leader come out, and we will, if you leave your name, we will give you the exact timeline on when this will be fixed and when it will be completely taken care of. So I'll just need your contact information. I don't want you to give it over the air, but make sure that the people that are answering the phones have the information. We will get back with you and give you the timeline and the method in which we'll remove the plate and make the final fix on the sinkhole.
Good evening. We will get your information, and we're going to have somebody come out and address your concerns regarding given properties in your neighborhood tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Okay, so the Building Safety Department can write tickets to landlords. We'll give them a chance to clean the stuff up first before we give them tickets, but we will make them comply. So thank you for the call. We're going to get out and respond. All right, who's next?
Next, phone, Galaxy 9S,
Galaxy 9S. Galaxy 9S,
smartphone.
a smartphone, if you're on.
Okay, for time, we'll come back. We'll move on to Fatima.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Where do you
Holding
live?
up with the quarantine. So my name's Fatima. I actually don't live in Southwest. I live on the west side in 48221.
What streets are you by?
Sorry?
What main streets are you by? What neighborhood?
Illinois and West McNichols.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah, so, but actually, I just wanted to give you just some positive feedback on somebody that works in District 6.
Okay.
His name is Michael Reyes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so I work for VISA, the African Bureau for Immigration and Social Affairs, and he has been, despite the fact that a lot of the folks that we work with, a lot of our Black immigrants don't necessarily live in District 6, he's been such a big source of resources.
Oh, yeah.
And has
And
helped
he
a
lives
lot.
there.
Right, yeah, and so he's definitely helped me, like, you know, connect a lot of my business owners and stuff, even though I know nothing about that stuff. I'm a community organizer that's more in like social things. And so I just wanted to hop on and be like, well, whatever y'all do in DEGC, the District 6 person is helping even other people in other parts of the city. So
That's great. Well, he's an entrepreneur himself, so this is a labor of love, and we're glad we've got him. So thank you for that.
all right, sounds good.
All right. Who's next?
Okay, next is KPEA.
Can you hear me?
We can barely.
Can you hear me?
Hey, can you get a little bit closer to the phone? Go ahead. Well, go ahead and try. Let's see if we can hear you.
And we'll move on and come right back to you. Kevin is next.
Good evening, Mayor. This is Pastor Kevin Casillas from First Latin American Baptist Church on Scotton.
Good to talk to you again, Pastor.
I just want to let you know, as you know this already, we always pray for you. You're prayed by a lot of people, prayed for by a lot of people, and we just want to thank you for the work that you're doing in our city. And as a church, I want to thank you as well for the assistance with the PPE. I know Eva Torres was instrumental in that and helping nonprofits and some churches receive PPE. And just want to thank as well the great work that she is doing in the district. And thank you for her work. She's always responsive to the residents and the questions that people have. And just appreciate her good work in 48209 in Southwest Detroit. The question that I had was about, and you may have answered this already, but for churches and nonprofits, are we able to get the rapid response testing for the COVID test?
Sure.
How does that work? What would be the process for that?
So we're going to ask Denise Fair, the health director, to come up, and you can call Denise, and she will work it out for you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, good evening, Pastor. Feel free to call the Health Department, 313-876-4000. You can give us a call, and we'll make sure. Sure. If you can call Eva, then all of your clergy can get tested right away. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We can get you in. Yes, and thank you. How's it going in this era of social distancing? It's got to be tough running a church.
We've been blessed that we've had sunny Sundays. We're meeting outside with social distancing. We did have to go inside with social distancing the one Sunday we had rain, but we've been trying to keep things outside. That helps with the ventilation and trying to keep everybody healthy and safe as a church.
Oh, you do great work. Thank you. And we'll get on this tomorrow.
We'll try the microphone of KP again. KP.
Okay, so we're gonna take two more here. We've run about 10 minutes past. We'll take two more calls. So go ahead.
Hear me? You can't hear me?
Go ahead and try.
Please go ahead.
If you've got a question, please ask it.
Okay, we'll move on. The next person is Lee.
Hey, Lee, you're up.
Hi, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, I want to applaud what you're doing with respect to putting the pictures up on Belle Isle of COVID-19 victims. I had a suggestion, and my suggestion, I think, would change a lot of things. I'm a trial lawyer. I know how you have to persuade people using different types of evidence. Some people are visual, some people are verbal, and you have to say things and present evidence in ways that people can hear. The evidence that most of us have about the damage that's being done to society by COVID-19 is in terms of numbers of people that have died. We have not really appreciated the talent we've lost, the experience that we've lost, the wisdom that we've lost. So what I was wondering is, given what you're doing on Belle Isle, do you see any way to create a vehicle so that families and friends could submit videos about the people we've lost? And hopefully, if enough of that was made available, some of the people that think, the coronavirus hoax or something, that it is a hoax, and that's being pushed in a lot of part of our politics in the country. I would like to have an opportunity so they could see some videos of some of the great talent and great leaders and great people that we have lost. I lost my state representative, Isaac Robinson. He lived his whole life a block away from me. People don't appreciate what we've lost. So I'm just wondering how.
So I will, that's the first time I've heard that suggestion. I'm going to pass it along to Rochelle Riley, but I promise you, nobody who drives Belle Isle on August 31st will come away with any impression that this is a hoax. It's going to be a very powerful event, but I will pass your suggestion on to Rochelle to see if it's technically possible to do that. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, our last caller of the night.
Phone number ending in 240.
If your phone number ends in 240, you're going to wrap us up tonight. 240.
You are unmuted. Go ahead.
All right, is there somebody on the on-deck circle?
Okay, let's try Miriam.
Okay, Miriam, you're in.
Hi, how are you, Mr. Mayor?
Good, how are you tonight?
I'm good. I have been wanting to talk to you.
Okay, well, fortunately, 240 didn't answer, so you're on.
Okay, I am in District Eva. This is what we call 209 here. It's District Eva.
Okay.
Call on her, and I spoke to her just not too long ago. My concerns are the whippets that have been thrown drastically around my street. I live on Chamberlain and Lawndale. And the speeders through here are ridiculous. We have a four-way stop. I live right on the corner. And I'm going to say right now, I don't think the speed humps are going to stop them. They go through it every morning, every day.
Wow, if you're speeding over those things, you got a tough time on your shocks.
No, but I would assume if they're going to put it, they're putting it down Chamberlain. They're not putting it down Lawndale. And I'll just tell you this right now. They'll do donuts right in the center of the four-way stop.
What would you like us to do?
I was hoping, because I spoke with Eva about this, if there would be police and they would be, the cars would be taken. Something would be done that way, because they need to learn. The cars need to be impounded.
So Commander Todd Bettison is in charge of impounding the cars, and he's going to talk to you about that.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, we definitely stepped up our enforcement when it comes to drag racing and drifting. And I'll just read out, just to let you know, some of the things that we have done. Just this past weekend alone, we actually impounded 33 vehicles for speeding, reckless driving, the drag racing, doing those donuts. We did 194 traffic stops. And I'm just talking about this past Saturday and Sunday. So if you leave the exact location, I'll make sure that I give your area some special attention. And we're going to continue with our drag racing detail for the remainder of this summer, or as long as necessary. So just wanted to get those numbers out. And we did arrest individuals in the cars as well. We ended up making 12 felony arrests. Some of the individuals in the vehicles had weapons, so we made concealed weapons arrest also. So thank you.
So, and Miriam, thank you. Commander Bettison has been waiting for an hour and 45 minutes, hoping somebody would ask that question. But we've got a serious issue, and Chief Craig's been on it. The deputy chief has been on it, and you know, it's been an interesting summer between COVID that for a while took 600 of our officers down, then to the protests, then the violence we're seeing. And it's not any different here than it is in any other city in the country. And so the traffic enforcement has not had the kind of staff deployment that I would have liked. But now the chief and the deputy chief are ramping that up, and we will focus on your area. So thank you for that call, and thank you, everybody, for the questions tonight. And when is the next one of these? Okay, so I guess we got next week off, but we'll be back and continue to address these. And as you heard tonight, you can call in if it's somebody else's district, and we'll take all the questions. Thank you all very much.